With the recent success of the latest two Luigi Mansion games, it's safe to assume that the series is here to stay. Especially with the success of the third game, there's a great possibility that we'll see more from Luigi, but a question that's been stuck in my head is what are they going to do after Luigi's Mansion 3? They've done a mansion to multiple and even a haunted hotel, so it seemed kind of stale to go back to just a regular haunted mansion theme, and redundant if they just themed another housing building to be haunted. So what could they do to continue the franchise? Personally, I think there's multiple ways to do this. One would be to create a new series that still stars Luigi but isn't strictly based around the Luigi Mansion template. Since Next Level Games have done the past two Luigi Mansion games, it's safe to say they are now the dedicated Luigi Mansion team, or at least the studio that most likely to tackle a game starring Luigi, especially considering that Nintendo now owns them. They've shown that they really love to animate the characters they work with, as seen in games like Strikers, Punch-Out, and the aforementioned Luigi Mansion games. Their work gives a very cartoony vibe with how they have characters react to the situations they appear in, and in the case of Luigi Mansion, it can sometimes be detrimental to the vibe of the games. Next Level Games loves to make Luigi scared out of his mind in their games, and to be fair, Nintendo did a similar thing in the original. The difference is that was Luigi's first adventure alone in a haunted mansion, with ghosts we'd never seen in the Mario series and the NGL games. Luigi is still easily scared of the littlest things despite going through the same and in most cases worse scenarios. I get that Luigi being scared is now his main character trait, but I really feel Next Level Games leans a bit way too heavily on that, to the point where it might as well be his only character trait. Look at the way Luigi acts in every other spin-off, like the Paper Mario or Sports series. It's like they're two different characters. The things the Luigi Mansion Next Level Games lacks in comparison to the original Mansion is the spooky factor. While the original is by no means a horror game, it still managed to capture a similar feeling to a horror game with its atmosphere and tone. Just look at the main mansion, the environments, and the ghosts. They all feel menacing for a Mario game. Meanwhile, in Dark Moon and 3, everything is way more playful and cartoony, and I can understand why they changed directions. They probably don't want to scare children. I'll admit I was kind of scared of the original Luigi Mansion. But going on in this path really deviated from what made the original Luigi Mansion what it was. The whole point of me going on this tangent was to emphasize that the series has been changing its focus from being this horror-inspired adventure to a wacky and silly adventure. So if they still want to continue with this direction, they should change the setting to something that isn't so connected to the original game and make something new that plays to the strengths of Next Level Games. I really feel like they've been restrained by trying to keep true to the original and also trying to do something new. With the main setting, they can't just keep doing haunted mansions or hotels with the same bland ghost designs over and over again. A new setting or settings would be a great shake-up and open a bunch of possibilities for more wacky scenarios Luigi could find himself in. In 3, we saw them even try this and how they attempted to incorporate so many different environments in the haunted hotel. We got a medieval theme, a whole desert, a movie set, a damn museum, and much more. When you really think about it, none of those areas make any sense to be in a hotel, even if it was haunted. Unlike the first game where the mansion felt more grounded in reality, despite the whole shooting a star in the moon and all these bizarro boss rooms and all that, the mansion still felt more grounded because it was a mansion with ghosts that used to live there. But anyways, so instead of trying to stuff these areas in an arbitrary mansion or hotel, they should be locations Luigi actually visits naturally. What I'm getting at is that they should just make the series into a regular adventure game, like how the current Paper Mario games are undecided about being. No more ghost sucking, just adventuring gameplay, seen in games like Grim Fandango, talking with NPCs, exploring the environment, and solving puzzles. Besides, the combat in 2 and 3, to be honest, were just filler, especially in 3, where it's just repetitive and brainless, to be honest. This way, Next Level Games gets to show how expressive Luigi can be without it disrupting a spooky themed game. They could flex their enemy and character design since they wouldn't have to keep them ghost related, and they could open up the themes a game starring Luigi could host. I mean, just imagine it. Luigi exploring new, unique locales like a theme park or an entirely new kingdom, talking with and solving problems with familiar and new characters, or having them help in some way in his quests, whatever it may be. Speaking of which, what would the story be and who would be the villain if not King Boo for the 4th time? Well, I say it's high time for a change for villains and motivations. For the past 3 games, it's been the same. Mario's been kidnapped or trapped in a painting by King Boo and you gotta beat him up, and that's that. In 3, they try to mix it up with Madame Gravely, but she ends up like Xant from Twilight Princess, except she gets put in her place within the first hour. The series needs a new villain with unique motives. I wouldn't mind seeing Madame Gravely come back, but since she's a ghost, I don't know how that'd work for a new setting. But the story could literally be anything as long as they focus on Luigi exploring interesting locales and opening the opportunities for the funnies. I love a more involved story along the lines of The Thousand Year Door and Super Paper Mario, but I feel that'd be too much for Next Level Games. So keeping the story simple and comedic along the way seems like a good direction to go in. For characters, obviously Luigi would be in it, but EGAD should be included as well and be a part of the story even. In 3, it was always weird to me that Luigi, along with Mario, Peach, and a bunch of Toads, go to a hotel they were invited to instead of being Luigi and Daisy. I get that it's so King Boo can capture Mario again and get revenge, but wouldn't it make more sense for him to lure Luigi and Daisy and trap her instead to get back at Luigi? Because Peach in the game really doesn't make sense when you start thinking about it. Especially since Bowser isn't in any way involved or mentioned this time, unlike in the original where Bowser does show up. Technically. So to bring this back on topic, having the story include or revolve around characters associated with Luigi like Daisy, EGAD, Waluigi, or even Mario would be an interesting change of pace in the Mario series, since not a lot of the sub-series explore or involve the other characters aside the main group of Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Toad, and that's basically it. I know from the aftermath of Origami King that apparently either Nintendo themselves, a group within, or higher ups have these specific rules on the Mario series for second party and third parties to follow, or that are heavily encouraged to follow in regards to how their characters are portrayed. In Paper Mario's case, we've learned that it has to do with existing characters or species like Toads or Bowser's minions like Goombas. And when you take that into consideration, looking back at other Mario spin-offs after Super Paper Mario and Sticker Star, you can sort of see little hints of these rules in effect in some other games like the Mario and Luigi series after his 4th game, and you could say it's even affected the main series in many cases. My point is, I still don't know if there are rules for characters like Daisy and Waluigi, like they can only appear in certain spin-off games. We've seen EGAD in other games outside the Mansion games like Mario and Luigi and the Mario Party games. And going by their appearances, it wouldn't be too surprising to find out that such a rule exists, and that would be a problem for what I'm proposing. An easy fix would be just to create new characters and a new undisclosed environment, but that'd be a lot less interesting, in my opinion. Either way, Next Level Games could do it. They practically had that in 3 if you took out King Boo and Mario and the rest of the company. Change the story to be about EGAD needing help going against Madame Gravely because she intends to use the hotel to wreak havoc on the Mushroom Kingdom and has trapped a bunch of civilians within it, or something like that. I don't know about you, but that sounds more interesting than King Boo trapping people in paintings again. All this to say that it isn't entirely impossible to make things more interesting. I want to talk about gameplay again to clarify what I mean when I say I like the series to take a more adventure game approach instead of trying to keep the ghost-sucking gameplay. If there's one thing I see praise for in 3, it's the environmental puzzles, and what I see criticized is the combat. I know in reviews there was praise for the combat and the slam move, but as the game goes on, it quickly becomes a chore and begins to feel like padding, with the exception of some bosses. Instead of having the game halt after exploring for a bit to fight with minion ghosts, they should instead focus on having more environmental puzzles akin to what you see in PC adventure games, or unique gameplay changes like you see in Psychonauts. To elaborate, Psychonauts is primarily a 3D platformer, but it has a lot of elements from adventure games, and to break up the platforming in levels, the game would introduce unique mechanics to break up the gameplay. So instead of having Luigi only sucking up ghosts and objects, maybe have EGAD make and give Luigi a handful of gadgets, or just have it so they have to be found, that can do a multitude of things that you'd have to use to solve different problems and provide new gameplay ideas that could even work in addition to the poltergeist. They still wanted to keep those mechanics. Going this route would be appealing since it differentiates itself from any other Mario spin-offs. Give Luigi opportunity to show more emotional variety and range instead of just being scared and timid, and it'd be an original take on the Mario series since we haven't really seen the series do the adventure genre if you don't count the recent Paper Mario games. Again, the only problem I would see would be the hidden rules next level games will have to follow, but I've stated how they could work around. They'd have to call the series a different name, and looking at how companies want to make maximum profits, I don't think a name change is something they'd be too happy about, since casuals like to buy due to confidence and in the named brand, if that makes sense. Now I know what might be crossing your minds right now, that this just seems like I want a Paper Luigi game. And that's technically true. The reason I'm proposing that the Luigi Mansion series change into what I'm asking is because that's a series that already has Luigi as the main star, and the Paper Mario series seems hell-bent on its current path of being a papercraft adventure with normal Mario characters with Mario in the spotlight. If this change were to happen to the Mansion series, instead, it'd benefit from not being set in the regular Mario world, or whatever canon the games take place in, and could have the potential to work with a more varied cast like characters like EGAD and whoever they're allowed to use in the series, not to mention the potential the Team Next Level Games can do with the project starring Luigi that isn't strictly restricted to a haunted mansion. I'd love for a Paper Luigi game, but that seems like a dead dream, along with a console Mario Luigi game with full co-op on the Switch. It's literally just waiting to happen, but you had to let Alpha Dream die, Nintendo. Anyways, that's just what I think the series should do next to avoid stagnation and the same formula over and over again. They could just do another Mansion game, but to be frank, I'd only be interested if the original team that made the first game was behind it, since the two tries for Next Level Games has shown to me that the magic captured in the original isn't going to come back from them. One thing I've neglected to mention was multiplayer and co-op in this new direction, and that's because I really don't think it needs to be a fully co-op game like 3, even though that was a really nice feature of the game. I think making a game fully co-op will inevitably hinder the single player experience unless it's almost non-existent like the 2-player mode in the Galaxy games and Odyssey. Though since this would be a more adventure focused project, maybe implementing a co-op system like the Traveler Tales Lego games could work. But then, I haven't had that much experience with those games to say really. I still think having a separate multiplayer mode would be great, since I did like the Skyscraper mode in Dark Moon, and you really see a lot of modern games these days that offer different forms of multiplayer in conjunction with a single player game. In conclusion, I think Luigi's next big game should be in a new series that's essentially a spiritual successor of the Luigi Mansion games that isn't restricted to the rules or constructs that make a Luigi Mansion game a Luigi Mansion game. Preferably, it involved Luigi exploring many different and unique environments similar to an adventure game format that take advantage of Next Level Games' strengths, like showing their expressive animations, providing a breath of fresh air to the Mario series and their graphics, etc, etc. I like to see more characters from the Mario series like Daisy, Waluigi, and even some obscure ones like Wart or Toadsworth involved in the game, and a story that isn't just another Mario rescue from King Boo. That's basically it. I know that not half of even what I'm saying will ever happen or be integrated into the next Luigi Mansion, given how the gaming industry is these days, but it's fun to think about the potential of these ideas. At the end of the day, if there's another Luigi Mansion game, it'll be another entry to the Mansion series, and it'll be similar to 2 and 3 with some improvements, but nothing too different to change its foundation. So don't worry about the series changing into something you don't want, but I do really think they'd be squandering a lot of good and unique ideas just to have another game under the Luigi Mansion name. I mean, you know how Spider-Man has all these crossovers with connected series like Daredevil, the Fantastic Four, X-Men, They could do something like that with Luigi and have him interconnect with the other Mario series like the Donkey Kong series, the Wario Land series, the WarioWare series, but I know that's a pipe dream. Either way, I hope you get what I'm saying when I say there's a lot of potential for a Luigi game if it wasn't stuck to following its previous game so closely, and I think there's a lot to be gained and explored if they just let go and tried something new for the next project Luigi stars in. But that's just what I can envision for the series. If you watched all the way through, thanks, and if you're still here, let me know what your thoughts are on the ideas presented here and what you personally want in Luigi's next big adventure, or how they could evolve the Luigi Mansion series. I'd love to know. Either way, thanks for watching.